Welcome here, Dan Doyle, recruiting coach manager at NCSA. And today I have the pleasure of talking with Coach Bunkenburg, who's the head coach at Benedictine University in Lisle, Illinois. Coach Bunkenburg, how are you today?
Really good, Dan. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for joining us here today. And so, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? I know a lot about you, having coached and played against you, but tell everyone kind of your coaching background, your time there at Benedictine.
Okay. My name's Keith Bunkenburg. I'm the head coach at Benedictine University in Lisle, Illinois. It's about 25 miles west of Chicago. I've been the head coach here a little over 25 years. We have been lucky enough to go to 8 NCAA tournaments. We've won our league, I believe, 11 times in the times that I've been here, or the time that I've been here as a head coach. I've been very blessed to be at an institution that has obviously has a great education, but also has invested a lot into our program and athletics, and whether it's facilities or just the overall athletic experience for our kids. So very lucky to be in the profession that I'm in, and then very lucky to be at the school that I'm at.
Awesome.
So.
Yes, you have one of the top jobs there in Division III. We'll talk about your success here in just a little bit, but your campus is always one of the most beautiful ones in Lisle, Illinois, one of the western suburbs of Chicago, not too far away, like you mentioned, from downtown Chicago, but one of the great suburbs. And here's an aerial shot of some of the athletic facilities that are all somewhat renovated in the last 10, 15 years, correct?
Yeah, the sports complex there, which is our football, baseball, softballs, track, was about 10 years ago, and I'll put that up against any Division III and even some scholarship Division II, Division I programs. And then we renovated the Rice Center about 8 years ago. So, like I said in the beginning, the school's really made an investment to give our athletes a great experience and something that they can really be proud of.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I remember I grew up in that area, and you guys had semi-pro baseball, lacrosse, softball, using your facilities, as they were getting settled and getting up and going. So, really, really nice facilities. And we'll definitely talk about the basketball one. Your basketball gym is one of my favorite in the country, having a chance to play and coach there. Tell me a little bit first, the academics. What are you looking for in a potential student athlete, GPA wise and ACT or SAT if your school is not test optional?
Yeah, right now, the ACT is kind of interesting right now. So, but normally it's anywhere from a 21, 22 ACT, and then GPA, I'll say more or less top half of your class is what we're looking for there. And then I always say your GPA could vary depending on the difficulty of your classes. So if you are taking college prep courses, your math, your science, obviously your English, and maybe your GPA isn't like over a 3.0, we'll look at some of the courses that a student athlete has taken over the history of his career in high school and take that in consideration.
Okay, real good, real good. What are some of the more popular majors there at Benedictine University?
Yeah, probably our top 2 majors are the sciences, which is pre-professional programs, whether it be pre-med, pre-dent. A lot of our kids in that area also go on to graduate programs, become professors. And then business, we're at about 12 majors in our business department, and that's our business school there, which was just built 2 years ago, $40 million facility. And our majors in that range anywhere from finance, accounting, international business, management, business administration, accounting. So there's multiple areas that you can get into that. Our social sciences picked up, sociology, psychology. And then I also say our education department, in terms of teaching degrees, because of our area, Naperville, Lisle, Hinsdale, Downers Grove, a lot of our kids get their foot in the door in some of the best school districts in the state of Illinois. Mm-hmm. So those are probably some of our tops.
Real good. And if I'm looking to go into business, you guys utilize in downtown Chicago. I know you have a train station right there, 88, that takes you right into downtown. Or do you guys have some
Yeah,
internship opportunities there as well?
yeah, Dan, we've had some. As a matter of fact, one of our players who graduated 2 years ago had an internship at a major accounting firm in the city of Chicago his senior year. And so we've utilized Chicago, obviously, with our internship programs. And then even our area has a bunch of corporate headquarters. BP is in the area. McDonald's still has some offices, even though their main office has moved to Chicago. So we have corporate headquarters pretty close in that I-88 corridor that our kids also utilize. But Chicago's obviously been a resource, not only with internships, but as far as looking for jobs.
Mhm. Great. And then academically, with your the rigor that Benedictine has, do you guys have study tables? Do you have a full-time academic advisor that student athletes can utilize here during their time?
Yeah, we don't necessarily have a full-time academic advisor for just athletes, but we do have an academic resource center that our kids can use. We have 4 full-time people in that area, and they help with the papers, obviously any type of math problems. The only area they don't help with is in the sciences. The sciences kind of have their own advisors for that. But what we do is, I don't know, I'm somewhat unique that I don't believe study table for us is useful. Sometimes I feel like it's babysitting instead of actually getting some things done. So what we do is we just meet with our kids once a week, and we go over their syllabus. We go over their which will tell us what's due that week, what tests they have coming up, if they're keeping up with their assignments. Because we have this program called D2L that our kids are in constant contact with the professors. So we'll look on that just to kind of make sure that they're keeping up with all the rigors that it takes at any college to do well. So we will then, if they are having some issues, talk to them about meeting with the professor, going to the academic resource center, and then anything else that they may need help in. For me, it's just really important that, these kids are in college. We want to treat them somewhat like adults. And it's actually worked pretty well for us.
Good, real good. And then shifting from the academic side to the athletic side, tell me a little bit about, number one, the recent success that you've had. I think you're downplaying that, you've got a national Division III runner-up banner sitting in the rafters there in this pretty gym. But tell me about some of the recent success, and then get into your coaching style and philosophy there.
Yeah, sure. Well, we made the NCAA tournament last year. We were 20-7. We were ranked, I think, as high as 16th or 17th in the country last year. We had one of the toughest non-conference schedules in the country, and I think, as you well know, Dan, non-conference wise, we'll play anybody anywhere. For a few reasons. We want to give our kids a great experience. Number one, we want to play great programs. Number two, we want to measure where we are in terms of, hey, are we competing at the highest level? And then, number three, this year, unfortunately, we didn't win our conference tournament, but because of our success in the non-conference, we beat 3 teams that were ranked in the top 15, and we're also ranked in the top 4 in their regions. We were able to secure an at-large bid. So those are the reasons why we do such a tough schedule. We've been to a Final Four. We made it to the national championship game a few years back. Our goal always is to get to the NCAA tournament and try and win a national championship. But our number one goal is always to win our conference. I just feel over the course of a season, and there's 20 games in our league, and it's a long year. And if we can win that, it just tells us that we're being very consistent and being able to play at a high level for a long period of time. As far as philosophy and style, we're one of, and I always want to play the way I wanted to play. And in that regard is we want to push the ball up the floor. We want to take advantage of our defense, rebounding, getting steals. And if we can score in the first 7 seconds, we will. The other thing is if we don't score off our transition, then we're going to be really patient. One of the things that we've really stressed to our players over the last, I don't know, probably 8 or 10 years is to play with a lot of unselfishness. And we have been one of the teams that have led, or at least been in the top 10 in the country in assists and assist turnover ratio. And we take a lot of pride in that we don't just get a good shot, we get a great shot and we share the ball. And then defensively, primarily man-to-man. But obviously, depending on our personnel, we'll change maybe some things defensively, depending, we may have a more athletic team one year and a less athletic team the next. But in that regard, defensively, we've spent a lot of time on rebounding. We spent a lot of time on, not giving up easy shots at the basket, make every team work for what they get. And playing tough, obviously, is a big thing for us. We never want to be beat because a team just outplayed us or played harder than us. And if that does happen, we're definitely not ready to play that particular night. But so culturally, I think we've set up a program. We're not afraid of anybody. We'll go anywhere, play but anybody, anytime, and really, I think, play a fun style.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I can imagine some of those. It hasn't happened much, but I'm sure it's happened once or twice where you guys weren't ready to play, and you make them ready to play the next day in practice, right? I've been a part of a few of those practices as a player and a coach.
Absolutely. You got to remember, you got 18 to 22-year-old kids, so it's you never know what you're going to get sometimes.
Absolutely. Tell me a little bit about your program's culture. Over the 20 some years that you've been there at Benedictine, what are you preaching to your guys on and off the floor to help them develop into young men in life after college?
I touched on it a little bit, Dan. We're trying to obviously develop players on the floor, but then develop men off the floor. 4 years goes by really fast, and college is different. You're meeting new people, you're making new friends, you're becoming more independent. And one of the things that we always talk about is making the right decisions, and know that you may make a mistake, but just make sure you learn by those mistakes. Because in the recruiting process, we talk about, I'm getting selfish in my old age. Is obviously you recruit a kid with talent, that's where it starts. Then you recruit a kid that has the right fit academically, and then you want to recruit good kids. We'll look in the recruiting process, and if we see a kid that's not relating to his teammates or not listening to his coach or arguing with the referee, then we're done. That's not a kid we want. So ultimately, we're trying to recruit the right player. And if we do that, then we feel creating a culture is so much easier. And one of the things we really talk about is as a team is all the individual accolades, whether it be all conference or player of the year or all American or whatever. We don't talk about that at all. What we talk about is playing together as a group, being unselfish, and if we have success as a team, all those other things will come. And for us, winning is the most important, and individual accolades and individual goals are important also, but the ultimate goal is what our team does. And that philosophy has really worked with us for many, many years. And it all starts in getting the right kid. And if you get the right kids to commit to your program, creating a culture definitely becomes a lot easier.
Absolutely. I tell kids every day, hey, it's the days of recruiting the stud athlete that has the baggage or has the attitude are done. Coaches don't want to put up with that. And, successful programs like yourself speak true to, find guys that fit, and you're going to win with those guys at a higher rate than, the ones that you make those sacrifices for. So that's great to hear from you, Coach. Tell me about your typical recruiting timeline. When do you start to identify the right players? And take me through, when should they apply to your school? And then, normally when are you getting your commitments on a normal year? I know COVID has thrown everything upside down. So in a normal year, what are you looking at?
Yeah, it's interesting. Every school is different, right? There's guys that have early acceptance and have application deadlines. And, we're really obviously looking at kids a little bit their junior year, but then really probably getting a little bit more getting a little bit more serious their senior year. So, spring, summer, and then fall. So spring of a kid's junior year, some of our kids' senior year, and then fall of their senior year is really when we're kind of building those names and those kids that you're really going to go after. We definitely like to bring kids at the end of the summer and at the beginning of the school year. So you're looking at August, September, October, November. You're trying to bring kids in to visit your campus, and then you really, after a visit during those months, you really ask those kids to apply. And at our institution, all the applications are free. There's no fee. So we really say, hey, it's going to take you 10 or 15 minutes to fill out the app, and then obviously go to your counselor, get your transcripts, and get those in as soon as possible. Now, some kids already have the Common App, and that Common App, I'm sure, Dan, you probably talked to your players in terms of you fill out one application, and a lot of schools will take that Common App, and you put the code in to where to send that Common App. So for us, the application process, again, it's end of summer, early fall is when we really want to get those in, because when you're looking at the recruiting process, you start building as a player, you start building up some schools that you're really interested in, and you want to get those applications in, because as the process goes, financial aid, making decisions, you don't want to be running around trying to fill things out while you're trying to make those decisions.
Mm-hmm. Real good. And then tell me, what are some goals that you have for your program in the next 4 to 5 years?
The goals have been constant since I've been here. Obviously, it's win our league, which keeps getting tougher and tougher every year.
They keep adding teams into your league.
We keep adding teams on top of it. So, the percentage to win your league keeps getting less when you have so many teams in your league. But, it creates, obviously having that many teams in our league, it obviously creates some other rivalries we may have. But winning our league is the ultimate goal. Because I always tell us, only one team goes, wins their last game, and that's really hard to do. After that, we have a conference tournament that gets us an automatic bid. Obviously, that's something we want to do, and then we want to compete in the national tournament and possibly win a national title. So those are the goals that we have every year. And then doing it with kids, like I said, doing it with kids that really are serious about school, getting their degree, love basketball, and kids have to understand. It's always kind of interesting when kids are looking at the Division III level, they really don't understand how good you have to be to play at this level. And I tell our guys, college basketball is tough, and you got to be good, and you can't rely on just pure talent. You got to work at it and get better and improve. And those are the things we talk about our kids all the time.
Absolutely. And being one of the top Division III programs in the Midwest, I'm sure you guys have scrimmaged some Division IIs or maybe low Division I's and been right there with them and competitive. And that's that area that is not uncommon to even beat those types of scholarship programs. So recruits, check these games out online. You can see Benedictine's got a great facility, great streaming services there too, where you can really see the quality of play that they have and how good these players are. Going into the last section here, Coach, tell me a little bit about campus life. What's that look like? Are most of your freshmen, as they come in, are they rooming together? Do you make them room together?
Yeah, most of the freshmen, I don't make them necessarily room together, but most of them want to room together. We talk about that during the recruiting process, is that we'd love to have you be with a basketball player, and 99.9% of the kids are going to say yes. They want to room with another basketball player, simply for the fact, obviously, it's going to be a kid that's going to have a similar schedule. Also, it's going to have someone with obviously the same interest. But I would say out of our freshman class, usually 98% of the kids will live on campus. We will have maybe 1 or 2 kids that'll commute. We have a pretty big commuter base with Naperville, Lisle, Downers Grove, and Hinsdale. So we do have a few kids that'll commute from home, but most of our kids will live on campus. We have 4 resident halls on campus. And then we do have some kids that live off campus, whether it's a house or an apartment, which there's plenty around our area that can actually rent some space that you can still walk on our campus. So we don't have fraternities and sororities, but our campus life is great. We have a great restaurant. actually kind of, I call it like our Fridays or Applebee's. It actually has a bar on campus. We renovated our cafeteria, which I think is one of the best I've seen at any level. We've built a new quad where our kids can hang out and, you know, throw the frisbee around and study. And so our, you know, Dan, over the last 10 or 15 years, our campus has really grown, and our facilities, whether it be athletics or even academic buildings, are awesome.
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely. And tell me a little bit about, you know, student athletes that are there and, you know, have work study. Is that something that's common with, you know, basketball or holding a part-time job on campus, off campus? Is that doable?
It is, you know, you have to understand that, you know, our kids are paying something, and not everyone is lucky enough to just throw down thousands of dollars without any issues or problems. So some of our kids will work either on campus or off campus. So so the key for us is getting them a schedule out early, that if they do have a work schedule, they can match up their classes, they can match up the practice schedule, and then be able to work. You know, I say at any level, right? Our players make sacrifices to compete and have that college basketball experience. And it's hard. It's not for everybody. You know, they sacrifice the social aspects of things in college, or hanging out with their friends on a weekend, because they want to compete, they want to play. And those are the type of kids that you know are going to be successful, not only basketball wise, but in life. So I would say about probably, you know, 8 or 10 of our kids on our roster work a part-time job, and sometimes it's just for spending money, you know. So
real good. If I'm a recruit and I'm interested in Benedictine, you know, playing in this beautiful gym, great campus, great location, great coach, what's my next step? How do I get on your radar to begin this process?
Two things, right? You can email me, Bunkenburg at ben.edu. The guys can contact me on my phone, either my cell phone, text me, or my work phone. You know, I always respond, whether I feel it's a kid that fits or not. You know, I think the first question that I always ask is, what are you interested academically? And if it's something that we have, then that's the start. And then we have a discussion or conversation about, give me a little background on your experience basketball wise. And then if it's a kid that's far away, you know, send me some film, whether it's some highlights or a game or whatever the case is, so I can maybe get an idea of you know, the talent level. But yeah, I get a lot of kids that will contact us interested, and then do some follow-ups. And sometimes that's a great, you know, a kid's a great fit, and sometimes it's not. So you know, and you know, Dan, everyone's looking for a scholarship, and you know, I understand that too, because I sometimes have to answer, because some kids think we're a scholarship school, and I said, no, everything for us is based on your financial aid and need. But you know, our school does a pretty good job of trying to make it affordable as possible to get your education and come to Benedictine. We may not be the most aggressive financial aid school around, but we do work with you and try and make sure that it's a place that you can afford. But sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It all depends. And it's something in the recruiting process that we're very upfront and honest with.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then any things that we haven't touched on here about Benedictine, academically, socially, basketball wise, that you want to cover or say?
Probably not, Dan. I mean, we're a school that I think that has a great location. You know, we have access to Chicago, obviously a great city, Naperville, which is a great suburb of Chicago. So the area that we're in is fantastic. A lot of access we're a Catholic school, private school, run by the Benedictine monks that I think gives us a little bit of an advantage. We have some religious aspects to our institution, but we're welcoming to all types of backgrounds and religious affiliations. Plus, it also gives us a little bit of a family atmosphere that maybe some other schools may not have. And then basketball, obviously, we've had success, but success doesn't always mean that you're happy, and we try and create an experience for a kid that's going to be happy and enjoyable, but in the same sense, push them to be a great player and hopefully be part of something special.
Awesome. Well, Coach Bunkenburg, thank you so much for your time here today. Recruits, like I said, go in, check them out online, and then as games get started up this winter, check out the stream of it if you can't make it live, and just see the quality of play that Benedictine puts on the floor year over year, and also the level of competition within their conference there. You'll be pleasantly surprised that Coach Bunkenburg is one of the top programs and Benedictine is one of the top programs here in the Midwest. So, Coach, thank you so much for your time.
Dan, appreciate it, and thanks for supporting us, and we'll definitely see you down the road.
All right, take care.